I'm looking forward to this one today, folks. Welcome back, Land Golf Academy members and guests. Today's request is from one of our subscribers, Upper Male, who is a long driver himself, aspiring long driver, hits the ball a ton. We did a quick analysis on him, but if you want to go follow his social media stuff, I'll put in the links below. He's going to be one to look out for in the future. So thank you, Upper Male, for this. It's about Shawn Johnson, recently won the long drive championship, and you know I love long drive hitters. They just fascinate me, and I'm sure they fascinate you with their ability to hit the ball so far. And I went online, I couldn't find anything recent, so I pulled this one, Shawn Johnson versus Owen Meads. And Owen Meads is also a friend of the show. I did a swing analysis about a year ago, and he followed up with me, and we got to talking, and we did an actual hour-long interview on the show, and I'll leave that link below if you want to check him out. But Owen, great guy too, hits the ball a ton. So we're just going to watch this, and we're going to look at Shawn Johnson's swing. We won't really diagnose Owen Meads just because we already did Owen's. If you want to look at that, you can check that out below. But here's Owen Meads' swing. Is a really solid move. It's interesting the way they get ready for these championships and what they do and how they work out. So if you really want to get an earshot of what their lifestyle is, go watch that video. It's pretty interesting what he did to prepare for this. So let's go to the man of the hour, and let's take a look at some of these swings here. And what we're going to do is back up so we can go right here. And as usual, my dinosaur computer takes a while. Okay, so we see that one blocked out to the right. Let's just back this thing up a little bit here and start. And I know that these views are not exactly down the line and they're a little bit crooked. Obviously, we would like a better down the line, but hey, beggars can't be choosers, and this is just about education and how things work and basically what you can try to do if you want to try and get a little bit longer. But I would not recommend swinging like them because you will have your whole back in a cast for a week. Let's put the Barney Purple line. I'm going to make a big one so we can see what's going on here. And let's do the lower plane line and also that upper plane line. And the upper plane line is going to be a little bit tight. Now, what is unique about this is the amount of forward bend that we do have established with this setup. And it's going to be interesting because you will see that he will actually elevate his shoulder tilt, and that allows him to turn more. But what we're looking at is this number here. We're looking at 141. But this does allow him to get a lot of spacing right where it counts between his hands and his hips. So the more spacing you can give yourself, specifically for these guys and girls that swing like gorillas, they need a lot of area to work with. So some of them can get away with this by getting more hunched over. Some of them like to get taller, but you will definitely see some spacing between their hands and their hips. And usually as a result of this, their planes are much higher than you or I, where we actually let our arms relax and get two plane works. You start to see more single plane style in the long drivers. But let's just take a look as this club goes back, and we can see immediately, we see that left shoulder. What is that? You know, let's do this as well. Let's put a little head line right above his head so we can see how much he does actually stand up. So we take that backswing, we can see immediately we stand up and out of our posture. And what he's doing is he's standing much taller. So that Barney Purple line was his original spine angle. Now we take a look at his newer spine angle. You can see it has just moved up. So if we were to take a look at that degree now, let's just remeasure this degree, and that would be 163. So it's getting a definitely more vertical as opposed to his setup. Now this is allowing him to do a couple of things. Number one is distribute the weight. So we will see that a lot of these guys and girls that hit the ball a ton, they get the weight distribution moving a lot more than you or I. He's completely moving to the right side. You can see that left foot coming up. You can see his bracing all that weight on the right foot. He is standing up to allow him to get more turn. So we see his shoulder tilt. Let's do the shoulder tilt in yellow. The shoulder tilt is definitely leveling out. Now you would prefer, now let's say this is a traditional swing, you would see that shoulder tilt, I'll draw this in orange, on that original spine angle. So we see a change of quite some degrees there. So let's not confuse everything, and let's delete some of these. We'll leave the blue line up there just to show and see there. So now he has reached the top of his motion. As you can see, as he gets to the top, that's his full rotation, right? So now he knows he has stood up to allow the body to turn. Now he has to say, okay, I better go back down to be able to push back up, because you can't jump from that tall position. And most of these guys and girls, to hit the ball so far, they do go down and up. They're trying to push up. So in order to push up, you better go down to load and unload. So we see the first move. Watch the head and the whole body. Head and the whole body drop straight down. I mean, look at that. That is just an immense amount of downward action. So he's loading himself like a spring. So we're going to redo that, because that was pretty cool to watch. But let's just look, and we're going to draw where the head is now. Let's keep these in blue, okay, so it's not too confusing. So that's where it started. That's the top of the swing, and this is his loading. Boom, right there's about as low as it can get. Now take a look at that. That is probably a full head width drop. So whatever that is a lot of up and down motion while he is still turning. But what a cool thing too is, as he dropped, look at his shoulder tilt now. So we're going to draw this in yellow. Look at that right shoulder. It is tilted back down. So not only is he squatting, he's squatting and tilting with the weight still on that right foot. And now let's take a look. Let's erase that yellow line. Let's take a look at him jump back up. And we start to drive. So we see him pushing the weight. So we see, look at the heel. Look at the foot. The right foot is rolling over. The left foot is receiving with the heel, which means the weight is moving this way, which still allows him to stay in his back brace line. But look at this. He is still in his top spine angle. He has not returned back to his original spine angle, which is the Barney Purple line. So you can see that Barney Purple line, the reason he set up that way is to allow himself some spacing, because if he started tall, he would be reaching so far up, he would not be able to work his planes. So he is bent over, pulled his body back to allow the spacing, and then he accommodates for that by changing his spine angle and changing his plane work. So as we come on through, we can now see the amount of body rotation. Let's clear up all these lines. We can see the amount of body rotation now. So this is where he is pushed back up and turning. Now, keep in mind, he was a baseball player for quite some time. Collegiate player, and I believe he played professional baseball, minor leagues, major. I'm not quite sure. I have to do a little bit more research, but I know he was a athlete, and we can see that he's using that athletic motion. So he is still very tall now, and you can see the whole body is facing the target as the hands are still rising up, and there's so much rotation. Look at this, his left foot. Look at where the left foot wound up. The left foot is completely out of view, but look, it's back here. And if you start him at the beginning, look where his left foot was. So his left foot moves so far this way because of the amount of rotation you have. You better get that left foot out the way, or you're going to start snapping knees. So it's a really interesting motion. And I know that at some point we will see a face on, but let's look at the numbers that he came up with. So that one was 211, 149. Here's the face on. Perfect. So let's capture this here. Oh, let's go back. Okay. So what we're going to do now is take a look at the setup and also the weight distribution. I don't want to get too carried away here. So let's just draw the setup, and we're going to draw the spine tilt. That's a lot of tilt. Hands are connected with that spine tilt. So this is what that forward press is, right? If you've been following us for the past 3 or 4 days, we've been talking about this forward press. It just keeps coming up and coming up. And the forward press number is what you're looking for, is this number, which is already being predetermined for his impact position. So 147. So we're going to keep that 147 up there. And we're going to take a look at what it is at impact. But let's look at that body rotation. So first of all, we get the body rotation. We know the left shoulder's coming up. We know there's a complete weight distribution. So the center of his chest goes from here to, don't freeze on me. Please don't freeze on me. Oh, whew. Those are going to freeze on me. All right, so the center of the chest is we go from that little line there to that line. So look at that, completely shifted over. Now, this is something I recommend for most amateurs. And one of the reasons I recommend this is because as you get a little bit older, you need to use your body more. Now, I'm not saying that this person is older, but for the average golfer, when you're younger, you can get away with standing more in the center and get more rotational, and that's fine. But as you get older, you want to start to develop this right to left. Just think about a very athletic motion of throwing a ball. You have to get the weight distribution to help you with the clubhead speed. And because clubhead speed is all they care about, and ball speed, They're using everything to their advantage. So they're turning extreme and they're also shifting extreme. So just remember when you watch these. So we know we got that huge turn. Look at the amount of rotation on that shoulder. That is, I mean, the back is almost facing the camera. He has a great X factor because even though the back is almost facing the camera, you can see that the hips are still trying to restrict that. Look at all the stretching going on in that shirt. I mean, there's just so much torque built up in that motion. And now we see the unloading. We see down. Look at this. Man, that's just so scary to watch. He goes down and then back up right here. Boom. But you see what happened. He did not cross his left, our right of his initial setup. So we see now he returned back to his center, which is great, but he didn't shift over. And look at this tilting. And now let's see if we can catch it right. Yeah, the ball's gone. So now let's take a look at right where that ball was struck, and let's take out that line there so it's not confusing. And let's now see his angle retention. So we have there to there. So he started at 147. His impact is 114. That means he gained 33 degrees of carrying over. Now, when you are forward pressing, this is the position you need to be in to be able to do it. The amount of tilting he's established, and let's just do this here. The amount of tilting he has established is an extreme tilt back. In order to do that, you have better be able to get your hip tilt to match that, but also look at this position with his legs. I mean, this is just not a good position for average golfers. So when you're like me, when you play once every couple of months, you better not try and swing like this or you might never play golf again. So when you watch these things, just admire them. Don't take tips from them. You know, if you can learn anything about this, is keep it very simple. Whatever you see, take it down a notch. Take it down 99%. So in other words, if you see a little bit going up or down, do it very little. If you see them moving right to left, do it a little bit like them. If you see their left foot pull back to allow the rotation, do a little bit. Don't emulate this because you will hurt yourself. But take a look at that left foot coming off the ground. Look at that spinning. And then it's going to completely come off to clear the way for his whole body to look at. And now we see the right shoulders at the target, the right hips at the target, the right knees at the target. Everything is at the target because that rotation is where the power is. And just look at that club just banging off his back. So that is pretty impressive. And we take a look at the numbers, and I think we see some new numbers here. And we have 216 ball speed, 151 club head speed. But think about that, 214 mile an hour ball speed. Now, the best is, I believe, 242. So even that 214 is still 25, 30 miles an hour less than the best in the world. And this one got him by, I think he got it by 403, 402. He ended up winning. I'm not sure what happened at the end of this, but I just thought this would be interesting for you to watch. As you know, I do really love long drivers. I just think that they can get their body in such a unique position that we will never be able to understand. Most mortals cannot do this. But if you do like that, hit that like, share, subscribe. It's all about education here. If you know anybody that might enjoy this type of stuff, send them our way. We do donate a percentage of our profits for our development academies and this channel to the Heal the Hood Foundation for Cape Flats, in Cape Flats, for children with low income situations to get them into golf. So hope that helps you. I will see you tomorrow. If you have any suggestions, link it down below. And also, send me your video. You might appear on this out of randomly. Fairways and greens.